Welcome to another episode of the Guericast. My name is Tomas and I'm your host of The Immigrants, this nice Guericast. Today we have a different layout of this playlist in my channel. I hope you're enjoying the previous episodes. But today what I did, I invited most of my classmates from the Master of Sports Management here in Molde, in the Högskola Molde University College, and we are gonna talk about their experience. So the podcast is basically about the experience of international people living in Norway, and today I'm bringing those international students to share their experience of this first semester. We're almost done in the first semester of their studies, so they now have an idea how Norwegian lifestyle are and is, and those kind of things, what is nice, what is not nice. I would like to start introduce them one by one. So they're gonna tell their name, where they come from, and I told them to come with the football shirt or a national team, something like that they are related to, and they're gonna explain which the shirt team's related, what's the name and where the team come from. So we can start with our Swedish friend. Please introduce yourself to...
Yes, of course. So my name is Jesper. I'm 22 years old. So I'm almost 10 years older, younger than you. Sometimes I feel older than you, but I don't have a kid so far, at least. I'm from a Swedish town called Norrköping, which is south of Stockholm. So I support Hammarby, as you can see here, which is a team from Stockholm, actually, just in the southern parts of Stockholm, which is perhaps the biggest team in Sweden in terms of supporters. I would say we just broke the average attendance record in Swedish history of football, with approximately 26,000 people average attending every game. And now all of a sudden I'm representing Hammarby in Molde. So that was just quickly about me.
Very good. Lena, welcome.
Hi, I'm Lena. I'm 24 years old. I'm from Germany, from the very south Lake of Constance. Yeah, I didn't bring a jersey because I forgot, and it was early in the morning this morning, and I'm not a morning person. So yeah, but I support my local village football club, SV Folketshausen. Someone who's gonna listen to that. Yeah, and that's basically about me.
Very good.
Yeah, my name is Rory. I'm 23 years old and I'm from Cork in Ireland. I have a t-shirt from the Irish national football team. My local team is Cork City. I don't have anything with me in Molde, but no.
Go for it.
CCFC.
Go for it.
Welcome.
Come on, you boys in green. That's what they say.
My name is Jamie. I'm 24 years old and I come from the south of Spain, from Granada. And I also forgot my jersey, but I think it's not gonna be a problem. Things about Granada. This year they went down to the second division, but we have one of the records of attendance in first division and second division, so feel very proud of it, and yeah,
Very
that's
good.
most of it.
Welcome, Vladimir.
Yeah, my name is Volodymyr. I'm from Ukraine, so from Dnipro. That's a t-shirt about it. It's the fourth largest city in Ukraine, best city ever. So yeah, I'm 34 years old, so actually almost 10 years older than most of you guys.
Same colors on the MFCO, huh? The local
Same
team.
color, so
Very
yeah.
good, very good.
Yeah, my name is Max and I'm from Gothenburg, Sweden. I have brought my jersey from Örgryte IS, the oldest club in Sweden, so we are kind of the founding fathers of football in Sweden. A very honorable club, but at the moment we play in the second division, fighting for our survival. So we keep struggling, like me.
Many teams in the table struggling to keep the first division, huh?
Yeah.
That's sad to hear, but I hope they make it up.
Yeah, we will make it.
That's good.
Yeah.
Now our last guest, welcome.
My name is Lucas, I'm 24 years old. I'm like Lena from Germany, that's why I'm wearing a German trainings jersey from the national team. But I'm not that patriotistic, whatever. So I do not actually support Germany in general, but my hometown club, VfB Oldenburg, in the 3rd division. Yeah.
Very good. Welcome everyone. I appreciate the attendance of everyone coming by. We just had a nice breakfast, and we have the quality meeting talking about how the semester is going, the teachers, the tests and everything. But I always like to start the podcast talking about the bureaucratic way to immigrate. And as I had the previous experience, and I already shared in my channel in the previous episodes how I did come to Norway and things. I'm not gonna talk about myself, it's gonna be more about you guys. And usually when we talk about student immigration, it's not a permanent, it's a temporary immigration, we can say, for 2 years, 3 years, depends on the course, the duration of the course. But like I want to know about the bureaucratic thing. So how hard was to get it? All of you are from Europe, so I guess it's not a big change. It's not hard to do the paperwork, I guess. But I want to let some of you just to speak up about how was it. I know Ragnhild is one of the responsible for the international students work here in the uni. She does the whole paperwork, so you just send it to her and she send it to you, the E, or how can you just clarify how hard was it? Did you guys have to pay something for the Norwegian states to come, and did you get the visa for 6 months and then you have to renew every 6 months, every semester, or you just got the whole pack for 2 years, you can stay here, can you work, cannot? Can someone clarify those bureaucratic?
I think me and Max can start, because it's fairly straightforward, and then we can get the discussion a bit more developed than that. Our part was very easy. We had one single demand from the state of Norway, basically, which was that we should change our address from a Swedish address to a Norwegian.
Okay.
And that would be sufficient enough. And then we also had some demands from Ragnhild, as you mentioned, which was a bit more complicated, because we apply for a student loan in Sweden, and we can also apply for that here in Norway. So we get Swedish funding every month, and for that we needed a letter of administration, or an admission, letter of admission, which was fairly difficult due to certain people at the school, you can say. So that process became a bit too difficult just on the cause of that, I would say. It took a bit too long than we would have expected. So if we would have received a bit more help from the school and from the people here, then we would have had more money, for instance, and we would have had that money much earlier. So that made it a bit difficult. Luckily, like both me and you are from not very wealthy, but we are from steady families, we can say. We had a good upbringing in our Swedish families, so we had enough money so that we actually can survive. And we both have worked previously. However, what became a bit difficult was that...
Just keep going, sorry.
That we didn't actually get the help in time from the school, which made it a bit difficult for us.
Yeah, and the difficulties came from us being Scandinavian, and Norway and Sweden are so connected in so many ways, so we don't really, there's almost no border between the countries. We are almost the same country. But the Swedish tax office, which in their way supplies us with the student funds and stuff, they needed us to, because they didn't know about the school, because Molde is a small town in the west of Norway, and I mean almost nobody knows about this town if you haven't been here. So they needed us to send proof that we actually are going to a school here and that it wasn't just made up to get money. And Ragnhild had some difficulties with her prioritization of the Scandinavian students, because she thought that it was just fine because we are so connected with the countries. So that was the only difficulty, I would say. There's no other bureaucratic move for Swedes in Norway. We can be here for as long as we want. We can bring whatever we want. We can.
It's just drive the border and that's it, basically.
Yeah. And of course they control so you don't bring illegal stuff in the border. But there is no issues for a Swede to live in Norway, and we have a lot of advantages with the language because we speak almost the same language. It's more of a dialect than a different language. So we have in that perspective we had a lot of advantages moving to Norway. It's been very easy.
The only thing more I can think of that is connected to some sort of bureaucracy is that we have a car here, and that without registering it as a Norwegian car, we can't have it here for more than 1 year. But then again, we'll get it back within 1 year,
and then we can drive it back and have it again.
Yeah.
So it's no difficulty. And if we want to keep it longer, I think it's just to register it. And I think that works for every car. You need to have a registered car, and it needs to be inspected every year either way. So
what are the difference between having it here than back in Sweden?
I actually think that if we were to get a car inspection like you are supposed to do in your own country every year either way, I think we could have it here forever if we wanted to.
Okay.
It's just to register it. And if in Sweden you can drive your car for a year, then you have to re-inspect it, and then you can drive it for the next year. So I think that's how it works in the rest of the world.
I suppose you have to pay different fees here in Norway.
I don't know if we actually do, but perhaps we do.
I would guess within that 1 year or after that 1 year.
Yeah, if we want to stay for longer.
Yeah.
But in our case, we will just drive it back across the border and into the country again. So it's quite easy.
That's good.
Okay, so pretty much
it's an easy life for Swedes.
easy to say. Some of you got any struggle with the paperwork, or feel like worried that could be imperative to come and no?
Not really. I think especially for Lena and me, but also for Rory and Jamie as citizens of the European Union, it was pretty easy, even though we had to fulfill more requirements than the Scandinavian or Nordic countries' citizens. So we needed to registrate in Kristiansund at the police to show them, okay, we are now here and living in Molde, so we had to registrate there to get a certificate that we have the permission to stay here in Molde, but it was not limited, so I think the permission is valid for the next few years. I don't
think 2 years or something? Or
I don't think that we have to renew it.
It's unlimited.
It's unlimited, yeah.
Okay.
So it was pretty easy as well, since Norway is also not a European Union country, but a country of the Schengen room and the European economy room. So it was pretty easy to get there to Molde. You do not even need a passport, for example, to enter the country, to travel here. And even for all the administrative procedures here, it's enough when you have a European identical card, for example.
But didn't you have some issues with proving your gender, since you didn't bring your passport?
Yeah, that's a problem for German citizens.
Yeah, like after the registration at the police, we had to go to the tax administration in order to become truly registered. And apparently the German national ID card does not provide the gender on it. So when I was there, I had to get my real passport so she can confirm that I'm actually a female.
That could be a problem because of some names in some countries are for male, and in other countries they can be for a female.
It was just a bit straight because the police didn't needed the gender, so they just looked at me and then they wrote down, okay, he has to be male or she has to be female, and the tax administration was super strict. So even though I have no passport because it's not mandatory in the European Union to have a passport, so it's enough when you have your identity card. So I needed to prove my gender with my birth certificate, but it was a bit complicated to get this because...
It's quite funny because men and women pay the same tax here, so it doesn't make sense even if you're
Yeah, exactly.
transgender.
The tax
or
administration
whatever.
seems to be more strict than the actual police
Yeah,
registration,
yeah.
which is a bit confusing. But
They're probably more worried about the taxes than the crimes.
yeah,
I find the tax administration quite strict also. I look quite different now to how I look in my passport photograph, and this woman was standing there for like 30 seconds looking at me, looking at the picture.
Yeah.
So they were quite strict with identification in
Okay.
the tax office.
It's interesting to know.
But the police were more calm.
Yeah.
And then when you have your, when you go to the police in Christiansund, we had to do some stuff with D number and work permission. If you want to work here in Norway, you have to ask for, you need like some documentation as well.
You guys got a picture in the digital as well? We did that picture in the digital fingerprint? No.
no, we didn't do that.
No, we didn't do it.
I
Okay.
think we didn't do that.
Yeah.
We just had to bring like our letter of admission, statement that we have sufficient funding, just so we can provide for us while we are here. And what else do we need? And a contract of our living situation.
Yeah.
So for us.
Tenancy
Campus.
contract.
That's good. It's quite interesting because usually you're gonna think the police will be more restricted than
Yeah.
anything else, but
It's the
let's
other
see,
way
like
around.
in Norway, it works a bit differently than probably the rest of the world.
But Thomas, you as a non-EU citizen, you had to give fingerprints, right? at the
I did a
police?
fingerprints process, and because I apply as a Brazilian, but I actually have the Portuguese passport as well through my
Okay.
family. But applying as a Brazilian, because of my marriage and my condition, I would be accepted both ways. But with the Brazilian one, I got more benefits because Brazil, I guess, is outside of the UE. So I don't have to pay things like a Norwegian course, language course. I get it for free as a Brazilian. If I apply as a Portuguese, I will have to pay for it. And those small things, so I choose to apply as a Brazilian. Even being the hardest way, I know for my reasons would fundamental and be approved anyway. So it worked out. All right. So now I want to approach another subject. It's about your previous expectations about Norway. So before you came, I want to know, some of you, don't need to be all, why did you choose to come to Molde? Was that specific for the course? Because there is a sports management courses in different places in Earth you could do it. So why did you choose Norway and Molde University College? Did you were afraid about the prices here? Because a lot of people say Norway is very expensive. We're gonna go over this subject about the economy later on, but I want to know about your expectations before you came. Why you choose it Norway, and so let's go for this question. Why Molde in Norway and not south in Spain when the sun is and cheaper drinks? Did you came for the blondies? Did you came, because the university college we are right now is specialized in logistics. They are very good at maritime logistics, all this fish industry, and they are very famous for that. Not that famous for sports management. Still, it's a good and strong course, but a lot of people from logistics comes here because of the course. But I want to know about this one. Please,
In my case, I read a lot of Scandinavian model of education, and is famous because of his benefits and his legitimacy. Yes, we learn this course. Obviously, it has very strong teachers and educational programs. So in my case, that was the main reason. And prices obviously was in my mind, but we also had the option to course a master that it didn't have very high price in my case. Or as EU citizens, we pay a semester fee, but it's not very high, so you can compare it to a price of a normal master in any other country. So
it's around 60, 70 euros.
I think it's 70 euros, no?
Yeah,
70
euros.
Yeah, so it's not something that you actually have to worry about, and that was the main reason why I came here. Quality and obviously the educational model of Scandinavian.
So that's for people in Brazil who are watching this podcast right now. 70 euros would be around 300 reais every 6 months. So it's a very cheap institutional for a very good quality teachers, infrastructure, and everything they supply here. It's amazing for the price. So it's almost, we could say, is for free. Another experience and expectations.
Yeah, I had a bit of the same. I mean, with the prices, because I looked at the school in Spain, in Barcelona, when I looked at the course material was almost the same, or what we were supposed to read.
Yeah.
But here in Norway, we pay only the semester fee, but the school in Barcelona, they needed 5,000 euros per semester, excluding housing and stuff.
Okay.
So just for the master, you had 5,000 euros per semester. So it became a matter of, is it really worth paying that much for this school when I can read the same here in Norway?
Yeah.
So it was a lot of simplicity to move to Norway instead and save a lot of money. I mean,
yeah. It would be in English in Barcelona.
It would be in English, yeah.
It would be in English.
And that was, I always wanted to read it in English because me and Jesper, we went to an international school in Sweden as well. So we already had our bachelor's in English. Okay. So I wanted to continue with the international model of study because it feels more suiting for whatever career you might have in the future.
You do have much more material to read, and most of the relevant theses and articles are written in English, so it's a very, very important topic. Someone else want to?
Yeah, I can just add to some differentiation between me and Max, for instance, because you looked at the Barcelona as well. For me, I also had the opportunity to go to Denmark to study the same education basically, and also for free, more or less, just a little fee to pay every single semester. But what differentiated between Molde and the school in Denmark was that Molde gave you an opportunity to do an internship, and that was very important to me, to get real experience, especially since I'm very young, so I haven't had that much experience in the past. So that was basically the main reason that I chose Molde against Jesper.
And then of course we both applied to this school together, so that was a factor for me as well. It's funnier to be with Jesper or to be with stupid Spaniards.
Not really.
I think I can go.
You can see we have a small fight in the group. I didn't know about that before the podcast, but,
no, but
when the cameras are on, things get a bit escalated.
No, but it was nice to have someone you trust and someone you know that you have fun with.
Yeah. Don't try to fix it now.
It sounds fair.
And I mean, in the end, I think we are all here because we want some sort of adventure. I think we all, maybe except Vladimir, we all did our bachelor's in our home country, in our home language. Okay, you did it in English. But for example, Lena and I, we got also accepted for our masters in Germany or in Austria or wherever. But we decided to go to Norway because we thought, or at least I thought, it would be a great opportunity to see something else than my home country.
Yeah.
I would like to hear
Germans.
perspective. We need to hear more of Vlad's perspective because he has read so much.
And it's interesting.
And he's been all over the place.
all over the world. Ended up in Molde.
Actually, Molde was my second choice. The first choice was the UK, one of the universities in the UK. But in the end, as you see, I went for Molde. So the reason was, so first of all, they increased the fees for Europeans, and I was applied as a European, and they started to consider me as an international. So that's why, and they were responding very slowly on how much fees I should pay to them, and there were lots of bureaucracies, and I already needed to apply for a visa, and they still didn't even reply me regarding the fees, future fees. Also, in the UK, you've got a master for just 1 year. In comparison, here in Molde, we have 2 years master. And in 1 year, so I thought like, okay, I moved to a new country, everything is very new, there are lots of bureaucratic stuff to be done, and I need at the same time I need to do an intense study, you know. That's something I don't really like. I need to enjoy, you know, to enjoy studying. So it should be very like in a slow, to be conducted in a slow way, like slow motion, slow pace.
Yeah, 1 year it sounds like not enough time to settle yourself.
Yeah.
I think when you would be settled in UK, like after a year, like you got a nice place, you start to have friends, and then you're done with the course. It will be a bit very rush process.
So I don't like being in a rush, you know. So that was one reason. Okay, some things were against Molde. So for example, a new language. I understood that okay, I have to study a new language, but I also like adventures. As Lucas said, I never been to Scandinavian countries except I have been one time to Iceland.
Okay.
So that's. But yeah, that's the reason I'm here. And also I noticed that this university has a good connections with the Norwegian Football Association. So I realized, and also an internship, that as Jesper mentioned. So combining these two things, internship plus good connections with the Football Association, I realized that there are going to be a great chances for me to land a job as a football coach after studies.
Yeah.
That was the reason.
Very nice. It's a good process.
Before I want to add something that Lucas said about the adventure experience here as well. And I think apart from the educational value that this course have, it's also about people that you get to know and different friends that you can do.
Yeah.
I think that value is also so interesting and so important when you do a master or educational course or anything. I think it's so important to meet new people and understand every culture. We are constantly talking about our cultures and comparing them. So I think it's a way of opening your mind and understand different way of being.
Very good topics. And I'm gonna take your comments to already approach the new subject we're gonna talk about. So now, after everyone living almost 6 months here in Norway, in Molde, I would like you to share the experience. How is life going? You know, how you're day by day. Do you enjoy so we can talk in this subject or in this block. We can talk about the food. How do you like the food here? You don't? Did you change your diet here really or not? You are kind of adapting. Is it very costly as everyone says? Like Norway has this fame to be a very expensive country. When we talk about alcohol or tobacco, I think no one of us smokes, but we are sports students, you know. But alcohol, I'm pretty sure everyone drinks beer sometimes or some liquors. So I want to know what you think about that, because I know it's very expensive. So I want you to share those experiences with relationships as well. Did you make many Norwegian friends? You didn't? Are they hard to break the ice and go through in a friendship or maybe a relationship? Like, did you stay with some Norwegians? Are they nice in bed? Are they not? Do you want to try it? Those kind of things, you know. It's a very open block right now, so we can talk about dieting, relationships, football experience. Did you play here? I know most of you play some football already or did some sports. How nice are to go out in the mountains? It's not that nice. Is it expensive? Do you have to pay to get in the national parks? No. Those kind of things. So feel free to...
I want to break the ice with food.
Okay.
Maybe?
Ooh, I was thinking something coming from the Spanish one, you know, the Latin lover, we never know what could come. The food.
I have to say that, as everyone said, obviously food in Norway is very expensive.
Okay.
But it's also a way of you have to adapt to the culture and the country that you live. Food is expensive, but you can have free bus ticket or free something in other fields.
You can compensate,
yeah. And in this case, food is one of the expensive stuff, but I haven't, in my personal case, I haven't changed diet. Or
yeah, you're still eating a lot of meat as Spanish
yeah,
people.
or
like
maybe more fish,
More
because
fish, okay.
the quality of fish here
it's quite good.
is good. But I'm not eating less than in my country, or I don't know. I think it's the same.
But I know all of us are very much well traveled. Do you think you say it's very expensive? Is it Norway the most expensive country you have been in
Yes.
life?
Yeah, yeah. I think even more than the UK. I don't know about you, Vladi, but I think food is more expensive here in Norway than
Yeah,
the UK.
definitely, it's the most expensive
I have to say,
country I
has
have ever visited. Yeah.
more quality the food than in the UK.
I would not agree.
No.
The food culture
That's
of
good.
Norway.
I say in
I like
the UK at least, yes.
No, but if you look at the food culture in Norway, and I know there's a rivalry between Sweden and Norway and
Yeah.
everything,
Which
but the
food culture?
they don't have a food
No.
culture here. I mean, they are famous for their fish, and me and Jesper, we went to a really nice restaurant and had a fish soup, and the only thing it was just like heavy cream and maybe one piece of mini piece of fish, but it doesn't taste anything. Norwegians, they just don't know how to cook. They have all the ingredients, they have all the everything available, but they just don't know how to use it.
I honestly also was really surprised that they have like everything already prepared. Like one of the national dishes is like waffles, but they never make like a fresh waffle dough. They just use this
The
powder,
powder,
powder
yeah.
from the
Yeah.
shops.
And
So
I-
it's a shame.
And I mean, everyone is talking about, oh, Norwegian fish is so good, but currently in the room where we're sitting, we can look outside to the fjord, and on the other side of the fjord, there's like a fish farm, a breeding farm for salmons or whatever they breed there, and it's not like they fish the salmon, the happy salmon, out of the fjord and everything is great, but they're living 10,000s of fishes in a very compact, small room in very, very bad conditions, and that's something people often forget about. That's
And maybe I can add into there because I'm a vegetarian, and it is really hard to eat vegetarian here. Like also the products, like the no meat soy products, they are more expensive than everywhere else. And I live really close to Switzerland, which is also like super expensive when it comes to food. But I think in several ways Norway is really expensive.
I mean,
It's more variety as well, right?
Yeah,
Here we
like
don't see
there's
much,
no variety on any soy alternatives to meat, or and because also like vegetables are really expensive, and I find the quality of the vegetables not that good in the supermarkets. So in order to get better vegetables, you would have need to spend even more money, most likely.
Is it Switzerland more expensive or less expensive?
I think it's
They will be
Quite
pretty
close.
quite
Quite
close,
close.
but
Very
also
close.
I think that we are in Germany. We are used to very little prices, like small prices for food. But now through the inflation, it goes up as well. So not sure, honestly, when I'm coming back, if I would still say Norway is that expensive, or if they got closer.
I was pretty surprised when I came here and when I went the first time to the supermarket, because the Scandinavian countries, or especially also Norway, have the reputation that they are super sustainable. But when you go and want to buy vegetables, for example, everything is packed in plastic. So every single paprika is in plastic. And for example, when I compare it to Germany, we have, I think, since 6 years, plastic bags in supermarkets are forbidden. So you can't buy any plastic bags anymore. And here it's just super normal to grab 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plastic bags to store your.
You don't even
Your
have the
food.
option to
No,
get a
there's no
paper
other
bag
option.
in the at Rema or
And
the
you,
supermarket.
you do not even have the option to buy vegetable that is not packed in plastic.
No.
Even like the ecological good vegetables, when you buy, for example, for 300 grams tomato, then €5 good tomatoes, it's packed in plastic.
Yeah. And often it could be like double packed as well.
Yeah.
Like, kind of for carrots.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
at first they have this little bow,
Yeah,
Put the
a
carrots
plastic bowl and
Yeah.
then
it's with the plastic bag as well.
That's crazy.
Like, it's
Yeah.
super unnecessary.
And I don't like the system they have when you come up to the counter and you're about to pay, and they ask, do you want a bag? Then it's always just a plastic bag. They don't even have the paper
Yeah.
bags
Yeah.
available.
Yeah.
It's just weird.
And do you pay more for a bag?
I don't know what
I
they
think
pay.
some
Yeah,
extra
Yeah,
ones
maybe
you do.
10 cent. Yeah.
But
It's
yeah,
little,
one
but
crown.
you do.
they will always ask you if you want the ticket or not.
Yeah.
So
They are a bit
don't have
behind
to
in this.
print it.
Some of those
But they are
things.
very
Yeah.
practical.
I don't have. I wouldn't excuse them, but it's because most of the things are imported.
Yeah.
I think there's no way they can keep it as fresh as they could, but it still is not a good excuse. They should find a better way for sure. But it's something very. They do recycle those plastics. They have a collect here, but still it's way too much. They are way behind. Like Scandinavian countries are forward in many subjects, but in this they are quite behind. I agree with you, all of you. And what about
Fun.
hobbies?
Alcohol.
Hobbies
weather,
experience,
the weather.
alcohol, drugs. You know,
Next
people. We
topic.
need more followers
Alcohol.
here, so we need to talk about some crazy
Prices of
stuff.
alcohol is
If you
horrendous.
are an alcoholic person, forget about coming
You
to Norway.
it's a good place to come, so and then you're gonna stop to drink.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You guys
It's
such
the
a
same
drink.
with tobacco and
Yeah.
stuff. It's very expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, in Sweden, Sweden and Norway is very close to each other and very similar in a lot of ways, but it's double the price.
Yeah.
So it's almost impossible for someone who
Yeah.
loves nicotine or something
Yeah,
like
you
that
can see
And
to
it's-
survive here.
And it's not only the price, but also the limited availability.
Yeah.
When you
Yeah.
you're not allowed to buy alcohol after 8 on weekdays.
Yeah,
And
This is
important
crazy.
things.
Yeah. This
Yeah.
is
No,
crazy.
you can buy alcohol before 8 during the week,
Weekdays
Yes.
after 8 is closed.
and weekends after
After
6.
6
In the
and,
weekends, yeah.
Yeah.
And that only counts for the supermarkets at the beer.
Yeah.
The wine and more the liquor stuff you can only buy at the liquor store,
Yeah.
and that one closes even earlier.
Yeah.
And-
Friday and Saturday
and
they close
Saturday
at
is
6. Yeah.
like yeah.
Sunday they don't open,
Hmm.
so you cannot buy
Yeah.
any alcohol on
And I
Sundays.
think on Saturday it's even 4 when it closes.
Yeah.
So there's
Probably.
no spontaneous
Plans.
drinking action
Drinking
here
plans.
happening.
You need to get
You
ready
need to
before.
plan,
yeah.
I mean, it's
Paper
pretty
roll.
telling that almost all of the east coast of Norway, or the east side of Norway, they go to Sweden to buy alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
They just
it's a
drive
common-
across the border to buy
Yeah.
alcohol because it's cheaper.
And they come back with the car packet, and
Yeah.
it's a very common thing. And I think no, it is expensive because of the taxes. They really push the taxes high on those
But
vicious
although
products. So
it is expensive, we drink a lot.
it doesn't change the
No.
consumption.
But it makes sense because not that we drink a lot, but that it's more expensive because if Norway exports almost all the food, they have to increase the prices in certain way. For example, in countries that they don't export the food is gonna be cheaper, so it makes sense. In this case, Norway is good at, as we said before, boats and maybe public transport and that stuff. So that's gonna be cheaper, or in some certain cases, it's gonna be free for students. But in the case of food, obviously, they
Everything is
have to,
imported.
yeah, they have to increase the prices.
Yeah, maybe 95, just potatoes and carrots. Would
Yeah,
be
and fish.
local. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Potatoes
it
have
has to
to
be
be
all about the weather. That can be this next topic. The
Yeah.
weather is
Like Granada?
bad.
It's bad. It's
Okay.
bad, and we are in November, so he still didn't see
Yeah.
much yet. He's about to see.
You have to get
getting
used
worse.
You have to get used to, and now the hours of light they're going down. Temperature is going down. I think it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah,
in
one
It's
tip,
nice.
one tip I can
Yeah.
give to all of you, it's like you cannot be affected by the weather. If the weather is gonna, of course, weather affects everyone's life and it's a cultural thing, but you have to try to this affection be lower as possible. You know?
Yeah.
So don't be so influenced like in your daily basis. Like you wanna work out and it's raining, I'm not gonna do it.
You have to.
If you
work
start
out,
to
even
do
if
that,
raining.
it's your life is going downhill very quickly. So it's really it's a bad weather, but you need to get used to. If you live it here, it's something, it's not optional.
Yeah.
But if you be affected very much, your day can be shitter and shitter, and it can be. That's a big tip I can give to all of you.
Important topics, those ones that you are coming to Norway. Buy vitamin D, buy vitamin C, D, B, A, and do sports that they are indoor. Because if you don't,
a lot of vitamins. Are you selling vitamins, by the way?
No.
It seems like
because
good
if not,
selling.
you are done. And
It's sunny right now, though.
It is.
Yeah, we're going
After-
out soon.
But don't be afraid about the weather, and even if it's raining, you have to
That's good.
do your day life.
Okay, now keeping on the same topic, relationships. Not just like a party relationships, but like sports relationships. So how is the experience with Norwegian people? Did any of you stay out with a Norwegian girl or a guy, or are you guys relating more with the other students, international students? How hard is to get break this ice, this gap? Even in sports relationships or
in Norway or in Molde?
in Molde.
Because we have in this case we have we are very lucky that we have a very big international students association, and we have a lot of international students. So it's more about the relationship between international students.
Yeah.
That is really strong, and with Norwegian students it's more difficult to get to them in terms of open a conversation or break ice in certain situations.
Even in the parties and these student parties?
That changed a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, because Norwegian people in general, when with one beer in the hand, they are so different.
They open up.
Yeah, they open up so much. But yeah, I don't know about the rest of them.
Yeah, I can definitely agree on that, because also another gathering that we used to do, or I used to do, some still do it, was that we some of us played football for a local team here. And what I found very difficult about the Norwegian people was that it was hard to get the sense of that you were welcomed at all. So when I went to practice, I had fun when I got to play with Vladi, for instance. When we were on the same team, it was very fun, because otherwise you felt very isolated, basically. And that wasn't that fun, to be honest.
Yeah.
But when you go to the bar instead, then all of a sudden, people get, especially the Norwegians, people get a bit drunk, and then they are so much easier to talk with. So in that context, it gets so much easier, I would say, and then it becomes so much fun. But that, I would say, it was a problem for me, at least, that I didn't feel that welcome due to Norwegians being pretty closed.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's actually strange for me about Norwegians. So they become open once they get drunk. So that's, for me it's kind of strange. I don't want to get into a relationship with a person who's drunk. I want to be close, like mentally close, with her or him. But I don't need me or he or she to get drunk in order to get close. I don't like even, and that's why the reason I do not even go to party. So I like conversations. Like deep conversations. Here it's not the case. Probably they become more open when they get drunk. So, but for me, I would say I wouldn't go to any party just to get closer to any Norwegian. For me, it's because that's my personal my personal beliefs. But for those who it's for whom that's okay, yeah, that's normal. But for me, that's a problem, And so here, for example, at university, if to get some kind of relationship, a close friend or a girlfriend, boyfriend, so you maybe notice that there are some kind of interest in you, but then it's up to you to invite him or her to go somewhere. But they might feel that they're not comfortable because you are kind of approaching them at university, not in a party, So, but for me, it's quite normal, I do not need a party. I do not need this bureaucracy, this formal party to get closer to somebody.
Yeah.
I actually don't need it. But it seems like for them it's an official way, kind of official way to get closer to someone. that's how it works here probably.
I would generalize it into two main ways to get to know Norwegian people, and it's either through parties or it's through professionalism. So you meet people at work and stuff like that, or you meet people when you're drunk.
Yeah.
Generally.
But in our, for us too, we had quite, or at least I experienced it in the beginning. People thought it was very funny that we were Swedish because they could speak Norwegian with us, and maybe that's the reason that they open up a little bit. I know there was a lot of people in the beginning when we just went to the grocery store or something. They thought it was so funny that it was Swedes.
Yeah.
It was like they'd never seen a Swedish guy before, but they could speak in Norwegian with us, and we understood them.
Yeah.
And we answered in Swedish, and that was a thing that they thought was very funny.
Yeah.
However, they do not really want to speak English.
No.
And I experienced the same at the football practice though, and I was quite surprised because all other people were happy that we were Swedes and we were there, but they didn't even want to no, they not even looked at us almost. And perhaps that's just the younger generation, they have a difficulty with speaking Swedish perhaps. Perhaps the older generation, they are so used with the Scandinavian languages and they love that they're Scandinavians more.
Yeah.
With the younger generations, maybe they are a bit more afraid and a bit more, they like their phone and their video games more.
They are mostly talking through the phone, so I think that blocks their
Social
communication skills. Yeah, social skills, and that's quite funny because the Norwegians, they really, all of them speak very good English, probably most better than most of the other countries. If you compare to Brazil, they speak incredible English. Maybe between Swedish and Norway wouldn't be that difference. In Germany also, probably in Ireland they speak better English than the Norwegians.
I don't think
I
so.
wouldn't be so sure.
No,
I wouldn't be so sure.
I learn new words every day.
Very technical words here.
Can I just say I had the opposite experience of the other guys in terms of playing football.
Okay.
That I joined the local university team here, and I was the only non-Norwegian speaking person on the team.
Okay.
And maybe that affected my experience because everybody else saw, okay, he's the only guy. He has nobody else to just like talk to in English.
Yeah.
So everybody made a big effort to include me.
It's really fun to speak with you because of your accent as well. It's
Well,
comforting.
I think that's the thing as well.
It's very likable.
When people like hear, I think being Irish is like a big advantage. Maybe I don't live up to that potential. Whatever people, I don't know what people expect from me.
I know what I expect from you.
I know what you expect, but I don't know, when you tell people that you're from Ireland, they always seem like interested or excited, so maybe that was a part of it also. But I thought that everybody, all Norwegian guys on my team, I thought they all made a big effort to include me. And in terms of before the game, obviously they would do like a pre-match talk in Norwegian. They would always make a big effort to do it in English afterwards to include me. Obviously that was important for the game, not just for our relationships, but I don't know, maybe you get a closer emotional connection to them afterwards when you're drinking beers on the bus home, because they open up a bit more. But I think they were all quite friendly and opened up and made a big effort. So
yeah, I guess it has to be mutual as well, to some extent. That me and Max didn't take full responsibility to get to know people either. So that should be mentioned. Like, you have to actually make an effort, and I guess, well, if people don't give off like the mutual energetic vibe, then we felt that we don't have to either, and then it falls flat instead. So that's why we don't play anymore, basically. And of course that's not a positive thing, but we thought it was too much energy needed to light the spark in Norwegian people.
And perhaps that's a similarity between Sweden and Norway.
Yeah. No, but
we're quite close from Sweden. Not maybe me and Jesper, but Sweden in general are quite close as well. It's when in our previous university, I mean, it was quite. The Swedes hang out with the Swedes, and international students hang out with the international students. So we experienced almost a similar pattern as in Norway, in Sweden. It's just now we are part of the international group.
I think thinking about a team like a football team, they should welcome much more the international students because it will build up the quality of the team and bring different skills to the team, and they definitely don't do that. Probably they did in international team of the university, being a university, you have much more international people coming and going, so they are much more used to that. And in a local club like Tref or MFCO, that's not that common, so they probably don't know how to do it. But this new generation, they really have a problem with communication. In Norway, that's a very, because they are, it's a cultural thing to be kind of close. And then this phones generation and all those things makes them even closer. And I guess the English, they really don't, they don't want to speak. They can, but they don't make an effort. They are very shy to do it. And it's
But it's
understandable.
because their English is so good compared to other countries in Europe, obviously in South America or even Spain, it's so much high level. And for them it's easier to change the language. I think they can actually change it automatically. And they should get more into it.
Yeah.
So
One more question now about languages and communication. Who of you are studying Norwegian? I know some of you are studying Norwegian. I want to know who are doing it. So just 3, you're doing a little bit as well. But why are you guys doing
What's
that?
that?
Just
Why?
Duolingo count.
No
It's a
way,
time
no.
Half-time.
Why?
It's like
What's
half-
the reason? What's the reason are you guys studying Norwegian? I wanted to find out a bit more about that. Vladimir?
Yeah, for me, because I want to stay here after studies. And I know that I actually have to know the language. You know, it's
Okay.
easier to land a job, and it's also easier to approach people and to get into communication with them. I need it, and also for me to be a coach, I notice it is essentially easier if I speak to my players in Norwegian because they feel more comfortable. They are kind of relieved. And I also had a practice, and I had half of a practice. I did it in Norwegian actually,
Okay.
so first of the time. And I noticed after that, but before all my practices, I conducted them in English. And after my first Norwegian practices, they started to actually coming to me and asking me questions. They were relieved. They were relieved. They more feeling more comfortable after I approached them. So that's a must-have, I would say. If you want to be here, if you want to stay here, you really need Norwegian. If you don't want, and you kind of maybe I will go home, I'm not sure, let's see, then it's not necessary. But if you, you will need it.
It's a very, very good point, because now we can approach the last block of the podcast, and it's about the future. So you can answer still from the language why you're studying Norwegian, but then you can give kind of a perspective, like after the course, after those 2 years of masters are done, or maybe a bit longer. I hope everyone can be done in 2 years, but if you have to stay a bit longer to finish, that's okay. But what's your plan? Do you plan to stay a bit longer in Norway? Like, do you see yourself living longer than 2 years, or those 2 years is gonna be hard? And when I have free time, I just want to go back home, because I know 90% of you are going back home now in Christmas times and New Year's, and I just want to know that the future perspective, like in Norway or in Molde, like I really want to stay. Like Vlad just said, he wants to stay longer. That's why. What's your perspective? Like, how much did you like this? How much did you enjoy the 6 months? And did you see yourself living longer than the 2 years? So tell me about the
There was a long question, but I
Yeah.
tried to break it down.
So start with the language. Why you're studying language? And
To be honest, when I came here, I asked myself how I would feel if I live in Germany as a German, and then there's someone who lives in Germany for 5 years but can't speak any word German, and then I would feel maybe a bit uncomfortable, or I would ask him, why does he not learn German when he lives here for 5 years? And that was basically the reason why I started learning Norwegian, at least to some extent, because I don't want the other Norwegian people to feel any kind of uncomfortable or questioning why I do not learn Norwegian when I live here. So I just learn Norwegian to include myself a bit more into the society and to be a part of Norway, because I live here now. So that's actually my home, at least for the next 2 years. And that was the main reason in the end why I started Norwegian. but even though in comparison to Vladimir, for example, my plans do not, or I have not planned to stay here in Malta at least, maybe in Scandinavia, in the Scandinavian country. Sweden, I don't know yet.
It's a good alternative.
It's a good. No, it's usually a good alternative.
Is
It is to be honest, yes, because I want to be a bit closer to my family in Germany.
Me and
so Malta and to
Men Denmark will be better.
yeah. So Malta is very far away in terms of it takes quite a long time to travel back. So I mean, Lena is with a car here. She travels without any breaks. She would travel at least 24 hours to drive back to her hometown. But even for me, I fly 6 hours. I mean, in 6 hours you can also fly from London to New York. So, but I just fly from Hamburg to Malta in 6 hours. So that's pretty far away. So even though I would feel uncomfortable, I would want to travel home to Germany. It would take me a quite long time to go back. It's not so easy to go back, and it's quite expensive. So I can imagine staying in Norway, but then more southern areas, like Oslo, for example, or in southern Sweden.
Copenhagen is pretty close to Hamburg.
Yeah, Copenhagen, for example. Yeah, or even Gothenburg or Stockholm. I think it's pretty easy to drive fast home. Yeah.
For me, it's different. Like, I could imagine myself staying here or staying in Norway and living here, but I honestly have no plan for my future. Like, I'm glad when I can plan my week ahead, so I just love to see what comes my way and take on new adventures and new opportunities. And if that brings me to stay here, then it's going to be fine, but if it takes me somewhere else, I'm happy too. So yeah, just gonna see what happens basically.
I agree with Lucas as well. I think it's more getting into a cultural approach to the Norwegian culture more than in a professional way. I also think that it's one of our tasks when we first moved here to learn at least basic Norwegian, so we can communicate with them or show some respect or some getting closer to them.
Yeah,
you know,
you don't feel like IT.
Yeah, exactly. So I think I'm starting to learn words, different phrases or different things in Norwegian, but just for getting into the culture.
Yeah. Show empathy and. Yeah.
Exactly. I think it's more of empathy, and in my case, I have some plans away from Norway, but it's also important to learn the language, and it also makes you get an open mind in terms of culture, language, and new relations. So.
And those ones who are not want to learn. For the Swedish, I know the language is pretty close, so you don't need to make a big effort.
No, it's very, very, very similar. So that's easy. And for staying in Norway, I don't know. I don't think I will stay in Molde. But a reason for studying in Molde is that it is an international master, so we learn everything in English, which opens up for opportunities to work outside of Norway as well, and perhaps wherever we want in the world. So I could see myself ending up maybe in Oslo, who knows, but I don't think so. Maybe in Sweden, who knows, but I'm kind of open as well. The goal would absolutely be to work in the UK, I think, but
well, as you can see, we just finished the podcast now at the university. I'm back home, and unfortunately, I got some technical problems in the end of the video. So my camera, suddenly the battery ran off, and my backup equipment, the laptop, wasn't recording anymore. The microphone of the laptop wasn't working properly, so I had some problem issues. We can say that we couldn't conclude the podcast. We finished in the middle of the Max, one of the Swedish, is explaining his future about her. After that, I think Jamie Santana, the Spanish, and Rory, the Irishman, both of them, they have some conclusions about how how they would their expectations for the future. Neither of them neither the Spanish or the Irish wanted to be in Norway, just to conclude and to add that, because we don't have that in video, but they really enjoyed their experience, all of them, but some of them have the wish to stay longer, some of not. I apologize for that mistake, that video problem. I hope it's not a big deal. If you're still with us until then, I hope you enjoyed that video as well. I hope you can like it. Comment which nationality, which country you want to visit more, if it's Norway or one of those, one of the guest countries you want to visit, to know a little bit more, maybe Germany, Sweden, Spain, Ukraine, or so on, Ireland, or Brazil. And that's it. I apologize again for that technical video. I really hope you enjoy it. Please subscribe the channel, comment the country you want to go, leave your like. And we already organized another podcast with the same guests, so we're doing after the World Cup, because now they are traveling back home to the Christmas and New Year's Eve. But they will be back in January to the studies, back to the school. And we're gonna do a podcast just focus on the FIFA World Cup in Qatar. So the games will be done by then, but we're gonna talk about how we did go and how our countries did go. I think it will be very interesting to approach and really focus on this football championship, World Football Championship, which is huge for all of us. Most of us really enjoy football. Is the sport number one for most of us, not for all of us, but I really hope you enjoy. Thank you very much, and apologize for the mistake. Wait, here we have
See you tomorrow then, guys.
No, wait.
And now we're coming to the traffic. There's the traffic jam on Highway 45. It may take you up to 1.5 hours. The weather should be quite fine, around 10 degrees.
There he is.
Thank you.
Hello.
How much did we miss?
We'll see later.
We'll see later. You just have to cut it.
Because it's almost... Alright, so thank you very much for the presence of everyone, for the attendance. I think we could approach many different subjects. It was very nice to have you here. We'll check it. We can do another...
I'm sitting in the last row. So which seats you can see from that
from
angle?
those ones, yeah.
I don't
Can we
want to
just...
talk.
What?
I don't want to talk.
He's always like
You know what? I don't want to talk
Can I just
about the things we've gone through. Nothing more to say.
Come on, guys. It's gonna be quicker than the...
Does the camera
quality
see me when I'm
meeting.
sitting here?
If you can sit there, it will be better, close to the
Okay, so when I
and-
sit here, it
Okay.
doesn't...
I think that's
Should we take down our football shirts again?
Yeah.
almost in the edge, but yeah, if Lena maybe can sit here, or you come, no, someone here, someone there.
Yeah. Where are you gonna sit?
Those extreme ones, you're mostly not gonna be.
Oh, can we toss Jaime?
No, but come in the table, come by in the table.
Okay, then not. Thank you very much.
Max, check to see if you can see.
Everyone sit here as well.
The back of the camera. Back.
It's completely dark.
Oh,
If you
nice.
just touch with your hands, so you might to see it.
The whole thing.
Something.
I can see you.
Yeah. Everyone,
Yeah, Lena is a bit hidden behind Jesper, but
Fine.
just come. Yeah.
Can you see?
but there's no one on this side.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah, you're gonna see
You will
her.
sit there.
Oh,
Can you see me?
Oh.
yeah, I can see you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
That's good.
I can see all of you.
Come by.
Test 1, 2, 3.
Hello.
I hope the microphone's working, but we just have to speak up.
But because we see no.
So we start? Oh,
Yeah, but this is we have a recording and there's 3 different things going on.
Okay, which should we?
Yeah, it makes sense. Maybe the microphone's not working, but it's okay. The camera gets our audio as well.
Nice.
Everyone ready?
Fucking Norway.
3, 2, 1.